I wasn't invited to my own daughter's wedding. Found out through a Facebook post of her in a white dress, beaming next to her groom, while I sat home alone with a cup of cold coffee, staring at the screen in disbelief. At 62, I'd spent 34 years raising Kelly, wiping her tears, sewing her prom dress, cheering her on, only to be ghosted from the biggest day of her life. A punch to the gut made worse when I learned her fiancé, Ryan, had pushed me out because I'd questioned his shady past. She didn't even call, just left me to stumble on the photos, tagged by strangers, while my phone stayed silent. No. Mom, I'm sorry. No, nothing. It's a muggy August night in 1990, the air heavy with cicada hum and desperation, and I'm 28, pacing a cramped apartment in a faded nightgown, rocking my newborn Kelly while the window AC sputters and dies, leaving us slick with sweat. Her dad, a lanky guitarist with a leather jacket, a quick grin, and a wandering eye, bailed when I was 6 months pregnant, his last words a mumbled, "I'll call," as he slung his fender over his shoulder and vanished into the dusk. I was left with a baby, a GED fresh off the press, and a waitressing job at the corner cafe that paid $2.15 an hour plus tips, if the late-night truckers didn't stiff me. I fought for her with everything I had, worked double shifts, my sneakers squeaking on greasy linoleum, my apron a patchwork of coffee stains and ketchup splashes, my hands trembling as I counted quarters for formula. Nights, I'd stitch her clothes from thrift store scraps. Tiny dresses with uneven hems, my fingers pricked raw by a borrowed Singer sewing machine. Her cries a soundtrack to my exhaustion. My eyes burning but fixed on her tiny face, those blue eyes staring back like a promise. We survived on mac and cheese from dented cans, library books with torn pages, a leaky duplex our shaky castle. But I made it magic. Baked her cupcakes with pink frosting. Her favorite, piped with a shaky hand. Taught her to ride a bike on wobbly training wheels in the cracked parking lot. My voice hoarse from cheering as she pedaled free, her pigtails bouncing like victory flags. By 98, I'd clawed my way up. Night classes for a nursing assistant cert, juggling flashcards and diapers, landing a job at St. Mary's Hospital where I changed bedpans and soothed patients till dawn, coffee cold by 3 a.m., and bought us a little bungalow, its sagging porch and peel-in paint a trophy of my grit, a home I painted yellow inside to match her sunshine smile. Kelly was my world, bright, stubborn, my blue-eyed girl, and I thought that love was a two-way street, forged in decades of just us against the odds, a bond no one could break. She grew up fast, too fast, her childhood slipping through my fingers like sand. By 2008, she'd graduated high school, cap and gown, her grin wide under the stadium lights, landed a receptionist gig at a dental office, moved out at 20 to a studio downtown with peeling wallpaper and a futon she'd scored curbside. I stood in my bungalow, waving as she drove off in her beat-up Civic. Proud but hollow, the silence echoing without her chatter. Her sneakers no longer squeaking on my hardwood. I'd visit, arms full of Tupperware, pot roast, or lasagna steaming, watching her bloom into a woman, her laugh still lighting my days. Then came Ryan in 2018-26, a slick car salesman with hair gelled stiff and a grin too wide, eyes that darted like he was sizing up a mark. Kelly met him at a dealership. She'd gone for an oil change, came back with stars in her eyes and his number scrawled on a receipt. "Mom, he's amazing, funny, driven, treats me like a queen," she gushed over coffee at my scarred oak table, the one where I'd helped her with algebra. her hands fluttering like a bird's wings. I smiled, wary but hopeful, inviting him over for dinner. Pot roast, his favorite, the house warm with gravy and the clink of forks. Kelly giggling as he kissed her cheek. He charmed me at first, thanked me for the meal, helped clear plates, his "yes, ma'am," smooth as butter. But something gnawed at me, a prickle under my skin. His stories were too polished, too vague. Dealership wins with no details, a past he dodged like a pothole. After 34 years raising her alone, you don't miss the cracks. You feel them, deep and quiet, like a nurse reading a pulse. The first hint of trouble slipped in 2 years ago, soft as a shadow on a frost-bitten morning. It was late fall, leaves crunching under my boots as I raked the yard, and Kelly started pulling back, slowly, like a tide receding. Our Sunday night calls, her voice bright over meatloaf leftovers, catching me up on work, friends, Ryan, dwindled to monthly, then rare as a blue moon, her texts short. Busy with Ryan, talk soon. She'd skip our traditions. Thanksgiving, where I'd set a place for her at my table, the turkey dry by 8 p.m. as I waited, the gravy congealing. Christmas, where her stocking hung empty by my thrift store tree, its tinsel drooping like my hope. "Work's crazy," she'd say, Ryan's voice a low hum in the background, his laugh cutting through her excuses. I'd send cookies, pink frosting, her childhood love, packed in tins with a note, but she'd forget to thank me, her replies late and curt. "Got 'em? Thanks, Mom." I'd sit on my porch, tea cold in my mug, the chipped one she'd painted at camp, missing her chatter, the way she'd flop on my couch with a grin, blaming myself. Did I push too hard? Was I too much? After 34 years, you don't suspect betrayal over a missed call. You worry, you wait, you bake more, praying she'd come back to me, her voice filling the silence. Last spring, the rift deepened, raw and jagged as a broken bone. It was April, rain streaking my windows like tears, the dogwoods blooming pink outside my bungalow, when Kelly called, rushed, breathless. "Mom, Ryan proposed. Small wedding soon? Super simple." Her voice sparkled, a diamond's edge, but my gut twisted. Small? "No, Mom, you'll walk me down? No, I can't do this without you." I congratulated her, voice steady despite the ache. "So happy, hun," and baked a batch of cupcakes, pink frosting swirled high. Drove them over in my rattling Toyota, the wipers slapping a mournful beat. Ryan answered the door, tie loose, smirking like a cat with cream, Kelly nowhere in sight. "She's out. Errands. Thanks for these," he said, snagging the tin, his eyes flicking past me like I was a delivery girl, not her mother. "When's the date?" I asked, casual, rain soaking my coat, my hair plastered to my forehead. "Soon. Keeping it tight. Just us," he said, his grin too sharp, shutting the door before I could step in, before I could hug her, smell her shampoo, feel her clothes. I stood there on their stoop, rain dripping down my neck, cupcakes clutched uselessly in his hands inside. 34 years shrinking to a slammed door, a stranger's dismissal. I drove home, tears blurring the road, the wipers no match for the storm in me. My girl slipping away, and Ryan's shadow growing darker. Then came the red flags, sharp and glaring, piling up like storm clouds. It was May, the air thick with lilac, when my neighbor Pat, a gossip with a heart of gold, cornered me at the mailbox, her voice low. "Diane, heard from my niece. Ryan got fired from a dealership a few years back. Shady deals, cash missing, watch out for that one." My stomach dropped. My Kelly, with him? I dug, quietly, my nurse's instinct kicking in, calling an old friend, Linda, at the DMV, her whisper crackling over the line. Ryan's got a record. Fraud, bad checks, 3 years ago, probation. Cleaned up maybe, but it's there. My hands shook, picturing Kelly's trusting smile. How'd she miss this? I called her that night, voice steady as steel. Hon, what's Ryan's history? Pat heard things. Fraud, trouble. I'm worried. She snapped, first time ever, her voice a whip. Mom, stop digging. He's changed. You don't trust me, do you? Before I could answer, Ryan grabbed the phone, his tone cold as ice. Back off, Diane. Mind your own damn business. We're fine. Click. Line dead, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I sent a text. Just worried, love you? No reply, just silence stretching into weeks, then months. My calls unanswered, my texts unread, the bungalow's quiet roaring louder than ever. 34 years, and I'd lost her to him, his grip tightening around her like a noose. The real blow landed last month, a crisp September day that still haunts me like a ghost in my bones. It was a Thursday, late afternoon, the sky golden with autumn light, and I was scrolling Facebook, nursing a coffee gone cold, my TV humming Wheel of Fortune in the background. Pat Sajak's voice a dull comfort when it popped up. Kelly's profile, a wedding album tagged by a cousin I'd met once at a barbecue. There she was, my girl, my only, radiant in a white dress, lace veil cascading over her shoulders, beaming next to Ryan in a tux, a vineyard backdrop glowing gold behind them, rows of grapes heavy with harvest. Best day ever, Mr. and Mrs. Carter, the caption screamed. Dated 2 days ago, September 15th. My mug slipped from my hand, coffee splashing my slippers, soaking the rug as I clicked. Photo after photo, her laughing with bridesmaids I didn't know, cutting a cake with Ryan's arm around her, his mom front row in a peach dress, clapping like a queen. Know me? Not a trace, not a seat, not a mention. 34 years, her first steps wobbling into my arms, her prom tears staining my blouse, her college dreams I'd nursed with late-night talks, and I wasn't there, wasn't even told, left to stumble on it like a stranger peeking through a window. I called, straight to voicemail, her laugh mocking me. Hey, it's Kelly. Leave a message. Texted, Kelly, your wedding? What happened? No reply, just the hum of my fridge and a silence that screamed louder than any fight we'd ever had. I sat there, photos glaring from the screen, my hands shaking as I scrolled. Her smile, his smirk, a life I'd been erased from. Pat called an hour later, voice soft as a prayer. Diane, heard from my niece. Ryan pushed Kelly to cut you out, said you're toxic, too nosy, digging into his past. She fought him at first, but he won. Toxic. Me, who'd raised her alone, who'd scrubbed floors for her shoes, who'd stayed up sewing her prom dress till my eyes blurred. I sank into my couch, Bill's old plaid one, the springs creaking under me, tears streaming, 34 years crumbling like ash. My girl, my only, chose him over me. Let him paint me as the villain. Let him scrub me from her day, her life. I waited, days stretching into a week. No call, no, Mom, I'm sorry. No explanation, just silence and a locked profile when I checked again. Her posts hidden, my messages bouncing back unread. Ryan's shadow loomed, his fraud, his control, stealing her from me. And I'd lost her without a whisper of a fight, my voice drowned in his lies. Then came the twist that flipped the script, fierce and bright as a flame in the dark. A week later, my old lawyer friend Sue, sharp as a tack, a widow like me, called at dawn, her voice hushed over the line like she'd struck gold. Diane, just check the records. Kelly's house, that bungalow you co-signed the loan for in 18 when they bought it? Your name's still on the deed. Joint ownership worth $400,000 now with the market spike. Ryan's pushing to sell it, got a buyer lined up. But he can't close a damn thing without your signature. Not Kelly's, not his. I laughed, wild, ragged, a sound that echoed off my yellow walls, rattling the teapot on my stove, the coffee mug still stained on the rug. You're sure? I pressed, gripping the phone till my knuckles whitened, my pulse racing like it hadn't in years. Dead sure, Sue said, a grin creeping into her voice. He's clueless, thinks it's all theirs, doesn't know you're the gatekeeper. I hung up, fire surging through me like a wildfire. Ryan had erased me from her wedding, her life, but I held a power he couldn't touch, a key he didn't know I owned. I called Sue back that afternoon, voice steady as steel, though my hands shook with the weight of it. He wants me out? Fine. I'm in deeper now, and he's not getting a dime till I say so. I hired Ellen, top real estate shark in town, a widow like me who lived for justice, her office a war room of files and fight, the air thick with coffee and determination. She dug in like a bloodhound, and the dirt spilled out in a flood. Ryan forged papers to refinance the house last year. Kelly's signature scrawled in a shaky hand that wasn't hers. Siphoned $50,000 from the equity for wedding costs that Ellen traced to casino trips. Vegas, $20,000 lost in a weekend. A new truck, $15,000 cash. And paying off his old fraud debts, $10,000 to a shady collector. Kelly was blind to it. Ellen found her bank records clean, her paychecks untouched. Ryan spinning lies about investments while she planned a budget wedding, thinking he'd changed. Ellen froze the sale with a court order faster than you can say con artist, filed a claim to protect my stake, half the house, my legal right, and slapped Ryan with a fraud notice, her pen slashing through his scheme like a sword. He didn't see it coming. Thought he'd buried me with that wedding snub. Thought he'd silenced me with his toxic label. He called 2 days later, roaring over the line, his voice a storm breaking. Diane, what the hell? You can't block our sale. This is our house. I stepped onto my porch, the evening air cool against my skin, cool as ice despite the tremble in my hands, the cicadas humming a chorus behind me. My house too, Ryan. $400,000 you can't touch without my signature. Should have invited me to the wedding. Maybe I'd have signed then. Now, you lose it all. He sputtered, voice cracking with rage, his salesman's polish peeling away. You're insane, Diane! Kelly's furious! You're ruining us! You're a fraud, I shot back, low and lethal, my eyes fixed on the horizon. Where's my daughter, huh? Where's the girl I raised? Silence. Then a click. His breath gone, the line dead, his bluster crumbling like the sham it was. Word spread through town like wildfire. Ryan's past unraveled in whispers at the grocery store, the diner, Pat's mailbox chats, fraud charges resurfacing, his changed man mask slipping, Kelly reeling as Ellen's evidence hit her inbox, bank statements, forged deeds, the truth in black and white. I didn't call her, couldn't, my heart too bruised. But I sold my share of the house through Ellen, cashed out my half, $200,000, bought a cabin by the river, its cedar walls a fresh start, the water's rush drowning out the silence Kelly left. Took myself to Paris with the leftovers, croissants warm in my hands, the Eiffel Tower glowing gold, healing in every bite, every step. She's out there, maybe waking up to his lies, maybe still lost in them. Her wedding veil a shroud I couldn't lift. It hurt. 34 years don't fade without a fight. Her baby cries still echoing in my dreams. Her prom dress still hanging in my closet. But I wasn't the outcast, the toxic ghost Ryan painted me as. I was Diane, 62, and fierce, sipping coffee by the Seine, starting over with a heart too scarred to break again, but too strong to bow. He thought he'd erased me from her life, but I wrote myself back in, louder, bolder, uninvited, but undeniable. So here I am, months later, watching the river from my cabin, wondering what's next. Kelly's out there, maybe with Ryan, maybe alone. I'm strong, but scarred. Some nights I wonder, did I save her or just myself? Could she call, begging forgiveness? And if she did, would I answer or let it ring? I don't know yet, and maybe that's okay. What do you think? Should a woman like me ever rebuild that bridge? Or is this where I stand alone? No regrets? Tell me your take.